We want to show you real quick the fast, easy way to rebuild the Endure Swivel. We went ahead and pre-loosened some of these fittings for the video to save on some time. The short of it is we want to take and separate the upper cap portion by removing the threaded cap. Easiest way is to put this in a vise, simply use a crescent wrench and untighten. Whenever this becomes loose, you're going to have two parts in your hands. Set the cap over to the side, and what you're going to notice is you'll have the bottom mounting plate, and this is what we would call the full shaft and bearing assembly. If we were replacing just the bearings on this at this point, we could use just two small wrenches. We're going to get on the nut right here from the shaft and bearing assembly. We're going to get on the connecting nut, and I've loosened these up for hands, but we're going to loosen these things up. Whenever we set this over to the side, what you'll notice is this is the seal part. What we're left with is a simple shaft and bearing assembly. We're going to go ahead and discard of our old. We're going to come back in with the new. If that's all we were replacing on the swivel, we would just simply drop in the new shaft and bearing assembly. We're going to take our nut that's got our seal inside of it. We're going to thread these two pieces back together. Again, you should be able to use just a small crescent wrench to attach these back. The key is don't over tighten. Snug those things down good, and now we're ready to put the bottom cap back on. If you do decide that you want to use Loctite on these, only use a medium grade Loctite so that it doesn't cause any damage to the threads when you go to take it apart in the future. You'll notice that all these machine threads go nice and tight back together. Again, put it down in a vise, crescent it, snug it down. You've rebuilt the whole shaft and bearing assembly. Replacing the high pressure seal kit on the Endure Swivel takes just a few minutes. We've already had our swivel apart, so what we're going to do is show you the actual Venturi nozzles that we're going to change out. Now, if you'll look closely at the top cap portion, it already has one of the side of the seal located in it by using a 7/16 wrench. Generally, you can do this by freehanding it. I've loosened these up for the video. But you always want to make sure and use an open end wrench or a boxed end wrench so that you get a good bite on this nut and you don't cause any kind of stripping. What we'll do is we'll simply loosen this up. Again, these are finer threads. Generally, once after a couple of turns, you can get them loose pretty easily. We're going to take our other part. This is where the other piece of the other side of the seal kit rests. We're going to go like this, get it by hand. And you can see over time, if you come in a little closer, what you're going to notice is that as seals wear, which all wearables do, you can kind of get an idea that the tips wear down just a little bit. And that's pretty natural. Whenever you get a brand new one, if you look in on the brand new one, you'll see they're nice and high up, tall. And those seals, as they ride together over time, that's what's creating the water seal, they'll eventually wear. Whenever we're putting these back in, just take your top cap, screw that back in, generally hand tight. There is also going to be an O-ring on top of that. Don't over tighten, we don't want to gall any threads. I don't recommend using any kind of Loctite on this. On the bottom, we'll come in, we'll drop that seal back in. Again, tighten down, snug it down nice and tight. No Loctite. At that point, you're ready to fully reassemble. Again, very simple. You're going to drop on your shaft and bearing kit. You're going to screw on your end plate, bottom mounting plate, and then tighten down, and your seal's inside. You're just going to simply tighten that down. Go ahead and get a couple of wrenches on there, don't over tighten. Snug it down, you're ready to go to work.